Chapter 22. I closed the textbook after citing the content on the final page. This is the last day of our intensive course before the quota test. If you guys have any questions, please take this opportunity to ask. If you still don't know what you want to ask, or any difficulties during your study, send me an email. You can find it here on the cover. I lifted up biology textbook, pointing at its lower right corner. A young girl raised her hand. I gave her an affirmative nod to make an inquiry. Which biological subject is going to be on the quota test? I think all is going to be on the test. However, you should really focus on genetics. One year, many questions about Mendel's laws came out on the test. Yes, Karn. I pointed my fingers to a teenage boy who shot up his hand after the girl. Can I just skip the taxonomy part, Teacher Tan? I don't think I'll be able to study it in time. There are too many questions. Memorize the tape in the last chapter, Karn. Mostly the stuff I summarized for you should be on the test. It won't take long. It's all about memorizing. The questions mostly won't be very difficult. You should study this as well. Oi, Sorvit, you got any questions? I called out to the boy who usually brightened the mood of the classroom, who was now sitting quietly on his seat. During these past few days, Sorvit appeared more lethargic than usual. It made me wonder if something had happened. Sorvit looked up at me before lowering his gaze to the textbook and slowly shaking his head. No, sir. I watched Sorvit with my eyes laced with concern for a moment before turning back to the classroom. Okay, we're done for today. Good luck on your exam, everyone. I hope you get into the university and program you're really hoping for. I hope to hear the good news from you all. After class, I walked over to Sorvit, who was loading the textbooks into his backpack. The tall boy's gaze was looking off into space. Sorvit! I called his name before he left the room. The boy turned to look at me with his sleepy lids as if he hadn't slept for days. Yes, Teacher Tan. You okay? I asked Sorvit. The boy who had always studied hard to get into medical school. Why does he look burned out all of a sudden? I'm okay. Sorvit elevated his hands to pay respects to me in Thai style. Goodbye, sir. I sighed softly. Squeezing the truth out of Sorvit wouldn't be such a good idea at the time. It may be his personal issues, something that he couldn't tell anyone. If you have any questions or need my help, send me an email anytime. Yeah? Sure. Sorvit nodded before turning on his heels and leaving the classroom. I walked back to erase letters and scribbles on the whiteboard. This Saturday afternoon was our last class before my students would travel to take the quota test at the famous university in the north. I'd have free time until they had finished the exam, which was an excellent opportunity. During this time, I'd deal with all this chaos so that Bun could return to Bangkok safely. Return to Bangkok, huh? I leaned against the whiteboard wearily. A selfish thought crept into my brain. If this never ends, Bun will have to stay with me, right? Should I make this situation more difficult so that my time with Bun would last much longer? My malevolent thought stopped abruptly when I heard a knock on the door, followed by the sound of the door opening. I turned to the visitor, a burly-looking young man with a buzz cut in a grey short-sleeved shirt. I put down the eraser and looked at the young man with a different demeanor. I'm not Teacher Tan at the moment, but the son of a cruel, brutal mafia. Howdy, mister. The young man gave me a quick gesture of greeting. I walked straight to the boy, reaching out to lock the door. He called me in the late morning, saying that he wanted to meet me after my class. What is it? You said you wanted to talk? The teen scanned the room from left to right as if to make sure that no one else was there. His name was Thad, a trade school student in mechanical technology program, the leader of teenage thugs under my control. Thad was the only one in the gang who knew my identity out of the mafia life. 5 years ago, Thad's mother owed Mr. Odd some money. I was ordered to collect the loan right on his front porch. When I saw the living condition under their impoverished roof, I saw the reflection of my own life. So I tried to negotiate with Mr. Odd to reduce Thad's mother's interest. I convinced him that the boy would work for him under my supervision. The boy loved and respected me immensely, and he repaid me by creating my fearful identity, naming me Mr. Black. Thad and the gang's latest task, assigned by me, was detaining the female doctor, the one who was close to Bun, at her house until her brother came to pay Mr. Odd's loan. That led to Bun's nervous breakdown and successfully forced him to forge the post-mortem report. "I was talking to Uncle Tad this morning," Tad said in a low, hoarse voice. "Everything is just crazy lately, Mr. Black. Pert is dead, Mr. Odd has fallen gravely ill, and now Paul's extremely pissed about someone murdering his brother." Uncle Tad was one of Pert's subordinates who had been working in Mr. Odd's house for more than 20 years. The man was so close to Thad that the two were practically family because Uncle Tad was basically Thad's lifelong neighbor. I knitted my eyebrows together at the news. Why should Paul be angry about that? Shouldn't he be happy successfully getting rid of his brother? What now? Look, now Paul suspects that you are the one who did it, but he still can't find the proof yet. Thad spoke quieter, smiling a little, a smile that laced with satisfaction. You killed the pathologist and took Pert out shortly after that. You rock, man. That's our Mr. Black. This was by no means something to be gloated over, and most importantly, I didn't kill Pert. I didn't do it, and I didn't even know who did it. The look of slight disappointment etched across his features. But you did kill the pathologist, right? The silence was my answer. Thad nodded his head to confirm he understood. It's like Paul really wants to take you down, Mr. Black. He wants to frame you using the doctor, but he can't, since he gave you the kill order himself. It will later backfire. Right now, he's looking for evidence of the person who's responsible for Pert's death. My hands trembled. Why no one seems to think that Pert had committed suicide? I don't know. That's all Uncle Tad told me. I was worried about you, dude. Try to be careful, though, Mr. Black. Run now, if you can. If there's anything you need, you can tell me. I couldn't stop my hands from shaking. It wasn't anger what I felt at the moment, but fear. The consuming fear in my mind. I wasn't afraid of dying or being in danger, not at all. Only one word popped into my mind before anything else. Mom. Thad. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a stack of cash, which was all I had at the moment. I thrust the money into the hand of the boy in front of me. I'll give you more later. I need your help. I inhaled deeply. I knew that the lad was loyal to me. I'll give you an address. Take my mom out of the house and take her to the address I'm giving you. Once you arrive at the destination, give me a call. The next thing I did was calling my mom. I felt like a mountain had been lifted off my chest when I heard Mom's voice over the phone. At the moment, my mom was staying at her cousin's house in another district. I told her to hide in the neighbor's house to wait for Thad to get her out. I couldn't go by myself, because I was positive that someone must have been tracking me. I prayed that one of Paul's men wouldn't go to my poor mom before Thad